This is the fastest train in the world, with speeds up to 320 kilometers, which is 200 miles per hour, some with a view of Mount Fuji, an active volcano, and the tallest mountain in Japan. We are also going on Japanese railway intercity trains, but first, let's start with the local city trains in Kyoto and Tokyo. So, the local city trains stop at pretty much every single station every 4 to 5 minutes, making it the slowest, most accessible transportation method in Japan. They are primarily used for short distance commuting and traveling within cities, so the speeds are around 40 kilometers to 80 kilometers per hour, which is 25 to 50 miles per hour. Local city trains can also vary in color and structure depending on the city. For example, in Kyoto, it used to be the capital of Japan and it's known for a lot of its classic Buddhist temples, so the trains are purple to represent the color of nobility. Now this is in contrast to when I was in Ito, where there was a lot of red themed trains, and this is because it represents the red sea beam fish found there. In addition, the seating arrangement is very different. It is facing towards the windows because essentially Ito is going along the coast of Japan, and you can get a really nice ocean view when you go along that train route. Next, let's move on to the Japan Railway trains. This is a private organization that has an extensive railway across many big Japan cities. Now, because this is going more so intercity, the speeds can now range from 40 kilometers an hour all the way up to 130 kilometers an hour. What I found really nice is that it's the same as local trains in that there's plenty of space up top to put your carry-on bags, plenty of legroom, and areas to also hang your coat. Now, similar to the local trains, what I really enjoy about the space management is that there is plenty of space up top similar to airplanes where you can place your carry-on bags. In addition, for JR trains, there's plenty of legroom, areas to hang your coat, as well as a really nice fold-down tray. Clearly, this type of train is meant for longer intercity trips. George, was there anything unique that was different from North America? So in Vancouver and in New York and most of the cities that I visited in North America, it's very loud. You're allowed to talk on the trains and there's many people who are on phone calls. But in Japan, you're not allowed to even pick up a phone call. It has to be absolutely quiet. Now, while I appreciate the quietness, I sometimes wonder if first world societies have generally just automated away the interdependence we have with people. And what I mean by that is that we now have our own cars, we have our own houses, we have increased independence from others, so there's less opportunity for spontaneous conversation with the people around us. Overall, I had a really nice experience with the JR lines, but moving on to my favorite type of train, which were the bullet trains. So I first rode the bullet trains on the way from Atami to Kyoto, and if you stick on the right side of the bullet trains, you'll actually be able to get a really nice view of Mount Fuji. These bullet trains top speeds up to 320 kilometers an hour, with an average trip speed being around 250 kilometers per hour. The two primary categories of the train are ordinary car sections, as well as green cars, which are essentially the first class cabins in the trains. Now, the ordinary car class seats are arranged in the 2-3 configuration for most of the bullet train lines. The seats are super comfortable and provide way more legroom than the typical economy class seats that you see in airplanes, and all seats have access to power outlets, fold-down trays, overhead storage, as well as footrests. There is free Wi-Fi on the bullet trains, but they're super slow, so I don't really think you'll get much benefit unless you want to just send a simple text to somebody. I heard that there's also vending machines there, but I didn't really see them on the bullet trains. Typically what I did and what I saw most locals do as well is they basically just buy a bento box. They buy it at the station beforehand and essentially eat their bento box on the train. Now, there are specific car sections that are reserved only. In the beginning, we would reserve the seats there. And basically, the seat availability is delineated with red, yellow, or green. Red being that it's reserved, yellow being that somebody is going to be coming onto the train very soon, and green being that the seats are open. But then I later realized that you didn't really need to buy reserved seats at all, because many of the trains have non-reserved sections where you can essentially pick whichever seat you want. Generally speaking, I felt like most of the bullet trains had plenty of non-reserved seating, and it costs a little bit extra to buy reserved seats. So if you're looking to save a little bit of money, then I would definitely recommend just buying the non-reserved seating. George, would you recommend booking the green car first class seating? That's a really good question. I would actually say no. I do see that the green class offers more spacious seating with 2-to-2 seat configuration, larger incline, and more premium services. However, I actually don't think the difference is that big. The normal seating is kind of already like a business class seating or premium economy. I would say that that is definitely more than enough. This is in contrast to when I was in China. For them, the economy seating is much cheaper, so it's much more cramped. And that is a big difference from the first class travel that you would get in the bullet trains in China. I definitely used some of the first class seating when I was in China. I would definitely say that the experience there is a much higher level compared to the bullet trains in Japan. Now, there are obviously some other trains that I don't mention, such as monorail for airports, as well as other specific bullet trains which have a really nice first class seating. But overall, I had a fantastic experience. I look forward to having a similar review about the bullet trains in Canada and the United States.